Tai stared out the window of his dormitory room at the three moons hanging in the purple sky. After 6 months at the Galactic Academy, he still couldn't get used to the view. Earth seems so far away now. Your biological processes are leaking again, came the clicking voice of his roommate. Tai turned to see Vex, the 8-limbed Procyon, pointing at Ta's eyes with one of his appendages. Ta quickly wiped away the moisture. It's called crying, Vex. Humans do it sometimes when they feel homesick. Vex's upper limbs twirled in what Ta had learned was the Procyon equivalent of an eye roll. Emotional secretions. How primitive. This is why humans are ranked lowest among sentient species. Ta sighed and gathered his materials for quantum mechanics class. He'd heard this speech before, many times. Every species at the academy seemed to look down on humans. They were too emotional, too slow, too reliant on outdated biological systems, rather than the technological augmentations most advanced species had adopted. "Don't forget your translator patch," Vex said, his voice somehow both helpful and condescending. "You wouldn't want to embarrass yourself again by speaking that crude mouth language of yours." Tai pressed the small device behind his ear and felt the familiar tingle as it connected to his nervous system. At least in class, he could escape Vex's constant reminders of human inferiority. Professor Lore's quantum mechanics lecture hall was filled with students from across the galaxy. Floating crystalline beings from Arcturus hovered near the ceiling. Three-eyed Syrians occupied the front row, their sensory tentacles extended toward the holographic display. Tai took his usual seat at the back, alone. The empty seats around him were no accident. Few wanted to associate with the primitive human. Today we examine quantum entanglement across dimensional barriers, Professor Lore announced, her 4 arms drawing complex equations in the air. The solution requires 72 variables balancing across 9 dimensions. As the professor's equations expanded across the holographic display, Ta felt that familiar feeling, a kind of mental itch. Where other students saw complexity, he saw patterns. Without thinking, he raised his hand. "Yes, Student Ta." Professor Lore's voice held a note of surprise. Humans rarely participated. "The solution is simpler if you visualize the quantum field as a rippling pond," Ta said. "The waves converge at the point where dimensions intersect." The lecture hall fell silent. Professor Lore's eyes, all 6 of them, blinked rapidly. "That's correct," she finally said. "Though I've never heard it explained that way before. How did you arrive at this visualization?" Ta shrugged. "It just felt right." After class, Ta hurried toward the library, pretending not to notice the whispers from his classmates. His intuitive understanding of quantum mechanics often left his professors puzzled. How could a human grasp concepts that even advanced species struggled with? The library was nearly empty when the lights flickered, then flickered again. The giant holographic catalog in the center of the room flickered and distorted. "Attention, students," came the Academy's central AI voice, usually smooth and confident, but now sounding strangely fragmented. "System malfunction detected. Please stay calm." The few students in the library looked up in confusion. Technical problems were rare at the Academy. "Return to your living quarters immediately," the AI continued, its voice growing more distorted. "This is not a drill." As students began filing out, Tai approached one of the library terminals. The screen was filled with scrolling code, nonsensical at first glance. But there it was again, that mental itch, patterns emerging from chaos. Tai touched the screen, his fingers tracing the flow of data. There was something hidden here, something that reminded him of music more than mathematics. "Student, you must evacuate," a security drone buzzed, hovering near his shoulder. "Just one moment," Ta said, pulling a small device from his pocket. He placed it against the terminal, downloading a copy of the scrolling code. "I see something." Back in his room, Vex was packing a small emergency bag, his limbs moving with efficient precision. "The Academy's AI is over 10,000 years old," Vex explained. "It never malfunctions. This is unprecedented." Tai barely heard him. He was hunched over his desk, analyzing the code he downloaded. In the chaos of symbols, he could see a pattern, like a melody played under noise. "Look at this," Ta said, pointing to his screen. "These sequences repeat, but with variations, like they're trying to communicate something." Vex glanced at the screen. "I see nothing but corruption. Your human brain is imagining patterns where none exist." But Ta knew he was right. The code wasn't random. It was encrypted, hidden, and somehow he could feel the shape of it, could sense what others couldn't see. For the first time since arriving at the academy, Ta smiled. Perhaps being human wasn't such a disadvantage after all. The next morning, all academy students gathered in the grand hall. The air buzzed with nervous energy as holographic screens displayed the same chaotic code that had crashed the AI system. Chancellor Zell, a tall being with silver skin and eyes that shifted colors with her mood, stood on the central platform. "Students of the academy," her voice resonated through the hall, "what you experienced yesterday was not a malfunction, but a test." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ta felt his heart beat faster. "The Galactic Council has decided to open a new seat," the Chancellor continued. "And for the first time in 10,000 years, this seat will be determined by merit rather than age of species civilization." Her eyes shifted to a deep blue. "The first species to decode the message hidden in this data will earn their place among the Council, bringing fresh perspective to galactic governance." Excited chatter filled the hall. Species that had been excluded from the Council for millennia now had a chance. Ta glanced around, noting the determination on various faces, appendages, and sensing organs. "You may work in teams or alone," Chancellor Zell said. "The solution must be presented within one lunar cycle. Begin now." Students immediately formed groups based on species, pulling out advanced tech and linking neural networks. Ta stood alone, unsure where to go, when someone bumped into him. "Sorry," said a voice in Korean. Tay turned to see another human, a woman with short black hair and bright eyes. He hadn't seen her before, which wasn't surprising given how few humans attended the academy. "You speak Korean?" Tai asked, switching from his translator. She smiled. "Jaya bioinformatics research. You must be Ta. I've heard about the human who irritates Professor Lore with intuitive leaps." "That's me," Ta said, feeling suddenly less alone. "Do you want to work together on this?" Jaya nodded. Two primitive humans against the galaxy's brightest. Why not? They found a quiet corner of the study hall to work, while other species connected to advanced computing systems or merged minds. Ta and Jaya sat cross-legged on the floor with simple tablets. "I downloaded some of the code yesterday," Tai explained, showing Jaya his findings. "There's a pattern here, but I can't quite grasp it." Jaya studied the scrolling symbols. "It reminds me of protein folding patterns. Maybe we're thinking too literally. What if it's not just code, but something biological?" A shadow fell over their tablets. Ta looked up to see a Centaurian, tall and slender with pale blue skin and eyes that seemed to see through rather than at you. Most students called her Nora, though her full name was unpronounceable to humans. "How quaint," Nora said, her voice entering their minds directly. "The humans think they can solve what requires quantum computing." Tay forced himself to smile. "We're just trying our best." "Your best." Nora's mental voice carried a tone of amusement. "My species has been spacefaring for 50,000 years. Yours has barely left its solar system." "We're quick learners," Jaya replied calmly. Nora's eyes narrowed. "The council seat requires wisdom accumulated over millennia, not the impulsive thinking of emotional primates." She glided away to join a group of fellow Centaurians. "Charming," Jaya muttered. "They all think that way," Ta sighed. "Sometimes I wonder why humans were even invited to the academy." Jaya tapped her tablet. "Because we're unpredictable. Look at history. Humans make leaps that more logical species miss. They worked through the day, trying different approaches while the alien students around them linked to powerful computers and shared consciousness. By evening, several species had announced breakthroughs, claiming to have decoded parts of the message. "We need a different angle," Ta said, rubbing his tired eyes. "Everyone's treating this like a pure encryption problem." Jaya looked up suddenly. "What if we're seeing only half the data? In bioinformatics, sometimes the pattern only makes sense when you consider what's not there." Tai felt that familiar mental itch. The negative space. They stayed up all night, mapping not just the code but the spaces between. While other students focused on the symbols themselves, Tai and Jaya mapped what was missing. By morning, they had created a three-dimensional model that revealed a hidden structure, like a DNA helix, but more complex. "It's beautiful," Jaya whispered as they rotated their simple holographic projection. Across the hall, they noticed Nora watching them. Her telepathic voice brushed their minds. "Still playing with toys while real scientists work." Ta met her gaze. "Sometimes toys reveal what supercomputers miss." Nora turned away, but not before Tai caught a flicker of something unexpected in her expression. Uncertainty. "She's worried," Jaya said with a small smile. "They all are. They've never had to compete with humans before." Ta nodded, looking at their discovery with new confidence. "Then let's show them what humans can do." Retri is 3 days into the challenge. The Academy buzzed with activity. Different species claimed various levels of success with the code, but no one had fully cracked it yet. Tai and Jai continued working on their three-dimensional model, adding new layers as they discovered them. "Look at this section," Jaya said, pointing to a repeating sequence that pulsed in their hologram. "It keeps showing up, but with slight variations." Tai zoomed in on the pattern. "It's like a countdown." Jaya froze. "A countdown to what?" They stared at each other as the same thought occurred to both of them. Jia quickly pulled up other sections of the code, comparing them with renewed urgency. "These aren't just random patterns," she whispered. "Tai, I think this is a warning." "From the AI?" Jaya nodded. "The Academy AI didn't malfunction. It was trying to tell us something." She pointed to another section. "Look here. These sequences match known patterns for spatial coordinates." Tai's heart raced as he ran calculations. "If these are coordinates they point to..." He looked up, his face pale. "The outer edge of the Academy's solar system." They quickly gathered their findings and hurried to the main hall where Chancellor Zell was reviewing progress from different teams. Centaurians, Arcturians, and dozens of other species presented their partial solutions, receiving praise and points. "Chancellor," Ta called, pushing forward. "We need to speak with you. It's urgent." The Chancellor's eyes shifted to an annoyed amber. "Student Tai, there is a proper process for presenting findings." "This isn't about the competition," Jaya said. "The code isn't just a test. It's a warning from your eye." Murmurs and clicks of disapproval spread through the audience. Nora stepped forward, her telepathic voice reaching everyone. "The humans seek attention since they cannot compete intellectually," she projected. Several aliens made sounds of agreement. "Please," Tai insisted. "Our model shows that something is approaching the Academy. Some kind of swarm. The coordinates and timing are clear." Chancellor Zell's expression softened slightly. "Show me your evidence." Tad projected their model, explaining how they had focused on the negative space and discovered the warning hidden within. As he spoke, he noticed the senior scientists exchanging skeptical glances. "An interesting interpretation," the Chancellor said finally. "But our experts see nothing of the sort. The Syrian team has already decoded 60% of the message, and they find no evidence of these coordinates you mention." A tall Syrian nodded, her 3 eyes blinking in sequence. "The data clearly represents theoretical quantum constructs, not warnings." "But," Jaya began. "Thank you for your contribution," Chancellor Zell interrupted. "All interpretations will be considered. Now let us continue with the scheduled presentations." Dejected, Tai and Jaya returned to their corner. Around them, the competition continued as if nothing had happened. "They don't believe us," Ta said. "Because we're human," Jaya replied. "We need more evidence or help from someone they'll listen to." Tay thought for a moment, then pulled out his personal communication device. "I know someone who might help us understand this better. My sister's Sun. On Earth. How can she help from so far away? Sun is a programming prodigy. She understands systems in ways even I don't." Ta began composing a message. "If anyone can confirm what we're seeing, it's her." Using the Academy's quantum communication network, Ta sent their findings to Earth along with a simple message: "Not a test. Need confirmation urgently." For the next day, they continued refining their model while waiting for Sun's response. Aliens walked past them, some curious, most dismissive. Nora and her team occasionally glanced their way with what felt like pity. "I don't understand why the AI would disguise a warning as a test," Jaya said as they worked. "Maybe it wasn't allowed to warn us directly," Ta suggested. "Many advanced systems have blocks against causing panic." The reply from Earth came faster than expected. Tay's device chimed, and they huddled around it to read Sun's message. "Confirmed. Not just a warning, an SOS. These aren't normal code patterns." They matched descriptions of quantum data predators from old Academy archives. "Check restricted section, file Delta 9. They consume information systems. Earth too primitive to be targeted. Academy perfect target. Estimated arrival: 72 hours. Pattern suggests defense protocol exists but dormant. Find it." Ta looked up at Jaya, their faces reflecting the same fear. 72 hours, he whispered. "And no one will listen to us," Jaya added. Around them, alien students continued working, oblivious to the true nature of their challenge. The scoreboard showed the Syrians leading, followed closely by the Centaurians. The competition had become intense, with species pulling all-nighters and merging minds to gain advantage. "We need to find this defense protocol," Ta said, determination replacing his fear. "If no one will listen, we'll have to solve this ourselves." Jaya nodded, already pulling up a map of the Academy. "Restricted section, file Delta 9, she repeated. "Let's find it before it's too late." Outside the Academy windows, the three moons aligned in the purple sky, casting strange shadows over the campus, unaware that something far more dangerous approached from the darkness beyond. Sneaking into the restricted section of the Academy's library had been surprisingly easy. Most security systems relied on biometric scanning of species not classified as primitive. Humans, with their lack of technological augmentation, simply didn't register as threats. "Found it," Jaya whispered, pulling an ancient physical data crystal from a dusty shelf labeled Delta 9. They had just finished downloading its contents when the first alarm sounded. "Attention all Academy personnel," the AI's voice echoed, clearer than it had been in days. "Unknown entities detected entering the outer atmosphere. All students return to dormitories immediately." Tai and Jaya rushed to the nearest window. In the purple sky, small dark spots appeared, growing larger by the second. "They're here," Ta said, his voice barely audible. The spots descended, not like ships but like a swarm of insects, moving with disturbing coordination. As they watched, the Academy shields activated, a shimmering dome of energy surrounding the campus. Then the lights went out. All across the Academy, screens went dark. Students with neural implants cried out in pain or confusion as their connections severed. The shields flickered and died. "The swarm is consuming the energy systems," Jaya said, checking her simple Earth tablet, one of the few devices still working. The dark swarm now covered the sky completely, casting the Academy into an eerie twilight. Through the windows, they could see chaos erupting in the courtyards as alien students panicked, many unable to function without their technological enhancements. "We need to find Chancellor Zell," Ta said. "With Sun's help, maybe we can convince her now." They'd fought their way through crowded hallways where emergency lighting cast red shadows over frightened faces. Many students stood frozen, their augmented brains struggling to process without their linked systems. In the grand hall, they found Chancellor Zell surrounded by senior faculty, her color-shifting eyes now a dull gray. "Chancellor," Ta called out. "The swarm, they're data predators, just as we warned." The Chancellor turned slowly. "Our systems, everything is failing. The Council's emergency protocols can't be activated." "We found something," Jaya said, holding up her tablet. "An ancient defense system from the Founders. My friend on Earth is helping decode it." The Chancellor stared at the simple tablet with newfound respect. "How is that still working?" "Earth technology is too primitive for them to bother with," Tai explained. "They want complex data systems, not our simple binary code." A crash shook the building as something heavy fell nearby. Through the windows, they could see dark shapes moving among the buildings. "They're inside," someone whispered. The Chancellor's composure cracked. "Without our systems, we have no defenses, no way to coordinate." Jaya's tablet chimed. "It's Sun," she said, reading quickly. "She's deciphered the defense protocol." It's not what we thought." "What is it?" the Chancellor asked. "It's a physical system," Jaya explained. "The Founders built a backup defense that doesn't rely on quantum computing or AI assistance. It's entirely mechanical and needs to be manually activated." Nora pushed forward from the crowd, her telepathic abilities weakened but still functioning. "Manually? No advanced species has operated mechanical systems for millennia. We evolved beyond such crude methods." "But humans haven't," Ta said. "We can do this." The tablet displayed a map leading to an underground chamber beneath the Academy's oldest building. According to Sun's translation, the system required physical activation, levers pulled in sequence, analog codes entered by hand. "We need to evacuate the vulnerable students while we try to activate this," Jaya said. "Many can't function without their implants." Tad looked around at the frightened alien faces. Despite their previous condescension, he felt only determination to help them. "Nora," he called, "can your telepathy still reach the dormitories?" She nodded, though the effort clearly strained her. "Barely." "Then help us coordinate an evacuation to the underground levels. They should be shielded from the swarm." For a moment, Nora seemed ready to dismiss him, but the crisis had changed everything. "Very well." While Nora and the other telepathic species began organizing students, Ta, Jaya, and a small group headed for the ancient chamber. The journey through darkened corridors was tense, with occasional glimpses of shadow-like entities gliding past windows, seeking more data to consume. The chamber lay behind a heavy physical door that hadn't been opened in centuries. Inside, they found a room filled with levers, wheels, and mechanical displays covered in dust. According to Sun, this system creates a resonance frequency that disrupts the swarm's collective intelligence. Jaya explained, studying her tablet. "But the sequence must be perfect." Above them, they could feel the building shake as more systems failed. Through small windows near the ceiling, the dark swarm grew thicker. "We have one chance," Ta said, positioning himself at the main control panel. "Let's show them what primitive humans can do." Jaya nodded, reading out the sequence as Ta's hands moved across controls no one had touched for thousands of years. Around them, ancient machinery groaned to life, gears turning for the first time in millennia. Outside, the darkness deepened as the swarm sensed the new energy source awakening beneath them. The ancient machinery rumbled beneath their hands as Ta and Jaya worked together, following Sun's instructions displayed on the tablet. Gears that hadn't moved in millennia groaned in protest. Dust filled the air. "Next sequence," Jaya called out, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Turn the red wheel 3/4 clockwise, then pull the brass lever." Ta's hands moved quickly across the controls. The system was surprisingly intuitive, designed to be operated by beings with hands rather than neural connections. For once, being human was an advantage. Final sequence initiated, Ty announced as he pressed down on a large central button. The floor beneath them vibrated. A deep humming sound began to build, rising in pitch until it became almost painful. Above them, through the small windows, they could see the swarm reacting, the dark mass swirling in agitation. "It's working," Jaya whispered. The humming grew louder, resonating through the Academy's structure. The swarm's movements became erratic, individual entities separating from the collective. The dark patches began to dissipate, moving away from the buildings. "They're retreating," Ta said, hardly believing his eyes. Through the chamber door burst Chancellor Zell, followed by several senior faculty members and Nora. They stared in amazement at the functioning mechanical system and the clearing sky visible through the windows. "Impossible," one of the professors murmured. The Chancellor approached the control panel, her eyes shifting to a bright golden hue. This system was built by the founders before neural interfaces, before quantum computing. We'd forgotten it existed. "Sometimes the old ways still work," Jaya said simply. As the resonance continued, the swarm accelerated its retreat. Within minutes, the sky began to clear, patches of purple becoming visible again. Throughout the Academy, basic systems started to recover as the data-consuming entities fled. "You saved us all," the Chancellor said, looking at the two humans with new eyes. "With technology we considered obsolete and skills we have lost." Ta shook his head. "We just did what humans do, adapt and solve problems with what we have." Students began filtering into the chamber, drawn by news of the success. Many stared at the mechanical system with confusion. They had never seen such primitive technology actually functioning. Nora approached slowly. Without her full telepathic abilities, she spoke aloud, her voice musical but hesitant. "I owe you an apology." "No need," Jaya replied. "There is," Nora insisted. "I judged your species by what you lack. Advanced neural structures, collective intelligence, technological integration. I failed to see what you possess." "And what's that?" Ty asked. "Adaptability, creativity, independence." Nora gestured to the chamber around them. "When everything we rely on failed, you functioned perfectly. Your primitive state is actually an advantage in certain circumstances." The Chancellor stepped forward. The test was real. The Galactic Council truly did wish to evaluate species for a new seat, but the threat was unexpected. She paused, her color shifting to a thoughtful blue. "However, I cannot imagine a more perfect demonstration of why a species deserves representation." 1 week later, Tai and Jai stood in the fully restored Grand Hall. The Academy had recovered quickly once the swarm departed. Systems were back online, neural interfaces functioning again, but something had changed in how the other species viewed humans. By unanimous decision of the current council members, Chancellor Zell announced to the assembled Academy, "Earth is granted immediate membership on the Galactic Council, with Tai and Jaya named as Earth's first representatives." The hall erupted in sounds of approval, applause, clicks, hums, and telepathic waves of support. Furthermore, the Chancellor continued, "The Academy curriculum will now include mandatory training in non-augmented problem-solving and analog systems operation, to be taught by human instructors." As the ceremony concluded, Tai received a message from Sun. "Told you humans had something special to offer. Don't forget us little people on Earth when you're making galactic policy." Ta smiled as he looked around at the diverse beings filling the hall, species that had evolved for millions of years longer than humans, with technologies far beyond Earth's capabilities. Yet here they were, recognizing the value in what they had once dismissed as primitive. Nora approached, extending her hand in the human gesture of friendship she had clearly studied. "The universe is unpredictable," she said. "Perhaps being a little primitive is the most advanced adaptation of all." Tay took her hand, thinking of how far he had come from feeling ashamed of his humanity. "We all have something to teach each other," he said simply. Outside, the three moons aligned once more in the purple sky, shining down on an academy forever changed by what two humans had proven, that in the vast diversity of the cosmos, every perspective matters, even the newest ones. The end.